Okay. Spartan Up Podcast in gorgeous, frigid, wind-blowing Iceland. Today we have Marla Sweeney, who, if you guys have any excuses, she started Spartan racing at 70 and is killing it. So,
what do you mean 70? Like 70 years old?
70 years young, Joe.
3-10.
70 years young. So we have the very young Joe DeSena. We have the even younger Johnny Wade. He's been up for 3 days straight.
I think I'm older.
We have, actually, this is Iceland Mike. We commandeered him because he's so cool looking. And he's 112. I'm Sephra, and I'm...
So you're telling me this woman, Marla,
Wait.
started racing at 70 years old? Started racing
First
at
race.
70 years old.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Think about that.
Are you
I'm
sure
thinking about
you
it.
sure you have your numbers right?
I got my numbers, well, celestially aligned, yeah. I guess one more year in the belly. In other countries, they count that year as one, so she's even 71 in other places.
71. She's got no excuses.
No one does. Excuses are so boring.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amelia Boone here, hosting Spartan Up Podcast, and we are here at the Spartan Race World Championships in North Lake Tahoe, and I am joined today by an incredibly special guest, Marla Sweeney, who just ran the World Championships yesterday at the age of 72 years young. And I can't tell you how inspiring this is to me. And her story is absolutely incredible. So I just have to ask, first of all, let's talk about when you got into Spartan racing. What was your first Spartan race?
My son got addicted and drank the Kool-Aid to obstacle course racing and started out with Spartans. And I went to a few events as a spectator, and I kept thinking, I can do that. Oh, that wouldn't be too bad. So I played around with it, looked at videos in the summer of 2015 and said, I think I can do that. So I live by some mountains, so I do a lot of trail running. And I had not gotten off the couch. Once your kids are grown, they have kids, you fall into that no man's land. And so at 70, I committed to my first Spartan, which was February of 2016 there in Arizona. And I did the sprint.
That's incredible. And how did you train for it? And so if you weren't doing anything at the time, where did you attack and what did you decide to do?
When you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, I would go out, and I call it my granny trot. I would go out on the Jeep trails, and they're rocky like the course was yesterday coming down. And I thought I was really cool. Hey, I did a mile today. Yeah. And then I would gradually increase. I think my fastest was 10 or 11, but I was really pushing myself. But that's what I did. I got a Home Depot bucket and rocks on my porch. I have a sandbag on my porch. And I thought if I can do my granny trot in a third of a mile and carry that sandbag, I'd be really cool. Evidently, I had no clue how much more I needed to do, but I couldn't belong to a gym because I financially couldn't. But when I retired, there's Medicare and Medigap, and one of them gives senior citizens, which I think is a great idea. They give them a free gym membership at some of the gyms, and it's called Silver Sneakers.
Oh, that's
so
incredible.
there's no one retired and on Medicare and Medicare Gap that cannot do that. So this June was my first gym trip. Now, I've gone to CrossFit with my son a few times, but, to flip a tire or something. But it wasn't anything like what you guys do. I had no clue. But at least I was getting out there, and I got to go for my run tonight. And then eventually I did 3K or 5K, and I thought, oh, that wasn't too bad.
That's incredible. I mean, and I think that it's so funny is that I tell people too, the first obstacle race I ever did, I couldn't do a pull-up. And I got out there and I failed everywhere. And you just have to you work through that. And so, I mean, how many races have you done now?
I have 3 more to go.
Okay.
And by the 1st of November, I have one next weekend, and then my second trifecta and another one. That will have me in 24 months doing 23 obstacle course races.
That is incredible. And how do you, from race to race, like, do you measure progress? Do you just, are you trying to always kind of, is there some kind of goal that you have for each race, or are you just out there to enjoy it?
What I tried to do preparing for this race is really go up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'd go up this side and then I'd go up the other side of the mountain because I knew I was going to need my legs.
Yeah.
And normally, if it's going to be a flatter course or even semi-flat like the Utah Super, I concentrate on my legs, but also my breathing and my first mile to get my breathing under control and my nerves. And I just go out and try to really push myself for at least an hour.
Yeah.
On my legs or whatever else or my distance.
Yeah, so I have to ask, I mean, you have 3 kids. Like, do you have an athletic background? Were you ever, athlete back in the days and then, kids and life got in the way? Or is this something at the age of 70 years young where you're like, I'm going for it and I can do this?
I loved volleyball
Okay.
and softball, so I played up through my 30s on those leagues. Yeah. And then I had horses, and I barrel raced. And that's funny you ask. I've told my friends that when I'm 80, I want to do my last barrel race.
Yes.
So they better make sure. So
maybe we can convince Joe to put some horses in the Spartan race.
There you go.
And then you can win that category.
I just train Amelia. I push my body, and I have some physical limitations, but that's okay.
So let's talk about your race. Let's talk about this World Championship here in Tahoe. So this course is 16.7 miles long, and it was about 5,000 feet of climbing. I did this yesterday. I'm completely thrashed. You did this yesterday. She's moving better than I am. And so take me through the race. Take me through the journey. And you didn't actually know that you were going to be doing this. This is kind of a late addition, correct?
I thought my first and only trifecta was going to be at Big Bear. And then I was invited to do the women's panel. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, I might as well do the Beast at the World Championships. And so I committed. And normally when I commit, that means I can't back out. If it's going public, I can't back out.
It's a very good accountability tool. If you want to stick to somebody, tell everyone else that you're doing it, right?
Right. I looked at that mountain on Thursday, and I thought they were the most beautiful mountains.
They are gorgeous.
I didn't think as much yesterday, but it was a challenge, and it was like 1 foot ahead, and wow, I'm keeping up with these people. And that really did an adrenaline rush in me, and it pushed me forward.
And you're carrying the same buckets that everyone's carrying. Did you do the swim up there?
No, they
should.
I have an artificial neck with titanium.
Oh, yeah.
And I my osteoarthritis, and my son and his friends felt that it could make it worse, or you could get a cramp. So I faithfully did my 90 burpees.
You did 90 burpees. Up at 9,000 feet. Mm-hmm. 90 burpees at 9,000 feet is no joke. I mean, I can't even imagine and fathom that.
It was very difficult. You're up there, and it was fairly soft ground. And I want to tell you, I wanted to quit at 30 and 60, but I kept it going.
So tell everyone out there, in those moments where you want to quit, where you think that you can't go on, what do you say to yourself, and how do you get through that?
I count.
Okay. Count.
I literally count. To get through that, or to push myself in my training to go up higher, go up a steeper trail, I do sounds silly, left, right, cadence. So it's first step is 1, right, left, 2, 2, 2, 2. And I make myself go to 50, which would be 4 times, but to 50 steps. And that pushes me that, I'm tired and I want to quit. But if I count, at about mile 12 yesterday, I was counting.
You were counting?
I was counting.
I always tell people that a great way to get through like very long things is to compartmentalize, to break it up. So if you can count till 50 and you're like, if I can get through these 50 steps. And are these things that you use in other areas of your life? Is this unique to just training and racing, or?
I'm not going to answer directly to that.
Yeah, hey.
What I will answer is, I had an automobile accident about 10 years ago. Drunk drivers came at me head on, and they thought we were dead. And my right hand was hanging below my right knee. And so evidently I had to do a lot of therapy and pain management. But what I think has helped me the most is I finally went to alternative sources, and one is neurobehaviorologist, and there was a gentleman here with a company, and I happened to see him at the dinner the other night, and he said, "You've done this." And I said, "It's miraculous. You learn to control your brain. There's not a day I'm not in pain, but you learn through it. You learn through how to control that. You learn to feel your pulse." So a lot of times I do that. I've done that on the trail if I can't relax.
Yeah.
It's mind controlling what you do.
So you get in touch with how you're feeling there. And that is incredible.
Or that you're not feeling the pain or the leg cramp.
Right. You're like, I'm not paying attention to you. I'm not paying attention to you. I'm going to keep on trucking.
But that's what it teaches you. So Joe had him here.
Yeah.
And I would encourage a lot of people to check into that because it's incredible.
Yeah, because I am at 34, and I'm like, God, everything hurts. And then I see you, and I'm like, I don't have any type of excuse.
And I just did squats.
I know, she was just doing squats. It's like, okay, all right. It's so incredible. And so much more that I want to talk about, but I think we're going to take a quick break right now, and we'll get back into it.
Spartan women, did you know we created a community just for you where you can meet fellow Spartans? Where you can inspire and be inspired? Spartan women believe in themselves and are crushing their personal goals. Find the Spartan Women group on Instagram at Spartan Women, and then come on over to Facebook and join our group. Just search Facebook for the Spartan Women group and sign up. We'll see you there.
So we are back here at North Lake Tahoe at the Spartan Race World Championships, and I'm here with Marla Sweeney talking more about her incredible journey as a Spartan racer. She started at the age of 70. So, Marla, we were talking about this course, and we were talking about your journey. And so, first of all, I think that a lot of people are very intimidated by these races. And are there certain techniques that you use? Like, when you first approach this race, like, what is the number one thing that you tell people that want to come out but are a little bit scared of trying?
I'm a self-doubter, and I know I am, and I have to fight that. Mm-hmm. You've got to make yourself think positively, and I tell them, you can do it. If I can, take one step at a time. It doesn't matter if you're the fastest and if you walk. You can still do it if you need help on an obstacle. But to get people out there, I tell them to walk. Start by walking. It's a simple thing, and you will be surprised how much better you feel. Mm-hmm. And then if you do a Spartan sprint, start off with that. It's the metal around your neck is indescribable. It's you feel pride, you get tears, and I don't know how others to explain it. I get excited, and I know that at mile 12 up yesterday, I was like, my legs are jelly. I can't go on. So I did my counting, and then I realized I was tensing up. And I realized I needed to relax my step, take smaller strides. And I tell people this, is that it doesn't matter. Crossing that finish line is what matters. Yeah. And the road there, when you start out exercising after years of nothing, the road there is just to get up and go out and walk. And once you feel better, you're going to sleep better, and you're going to handle any stress in your life better, because go out there in nature, and listen to the wind, and it's perfect. You know, a lot of people go to the treadmill. I can't do a treadmill.
I can't do a treadmill either.
My lower back, it just kills it. So That's all right. I work on other things. But everybody is different. They learn, and I tell them, listen to your body. Oh, well, my shoulder hurts. And I said, well, walking's not going to hurt your shoulder.
Exactly.
You know, and I have osteoarthritis, and my hands are, you know, swollen. So I just use my arm to get over a wall rather than my hands. And so and so don't use it as an excuse. A lot of people, I think, do.
Things like monkey bars and stuff, is that tough on your hands, or do you find ways around that? Or
I can't. If you look, there it is. So I can only get a small rope is going to go right through here.
Yeah. But that's what I think is so incredible, is that you see people out there in the race, and that people, adaptive athletes, people missing limbs and things like that, and everyone finding a way to make it work. And we were talking about this a bit before we started the podcast, is that you go out there and you define your own success. And that, you know, winning doesn't mean crossing the finish line first. So for you, what does winning mean?
Well, every goal, every race has been to beat 100 people and finish.
That's incredible. And if you've been accomplishing those goals.
Yes.
I see, and on a course, especially this World Championship course, where a lot of people didn't finish, and so I know that is something that's that you're incredibly proud of, and we're so incredibly proud of you. And we spoke on a women's panel the other day, and I think that a lot of people recognized you out there on the course. And how was that?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, people coming, guys in their 20s or 30s, you know, or women. Oh, you're incredible. Thanks for being an inspiration. And we heard the panel discussion. It was the best panel discussion here, which I thought was really great. And I met a 15-year-old girl and her dad out there, and I guess they heard the panel discussion. And she turned to her dad and said, we're going to do this, and gave him a high five. And she was so excited. Yeah. And we're on the last mountain, about mile 10. And she goes, we're already doing it. And I thought, bless her heart, you know.
So she brought her dad out there after hearing you speak.
And I thought, wow, if I can inspire anyone. I did this on a whim. Yeah. I had no experience, no exercise, so I can start from scratch. But on the women's panel, I said, if I can inspire someone else with physical problems, it doesn't matter. Go out and do it. And if you're a child, my son's 44 and out there, it doesn't matter the age, just go out and see if your mom or dad will go with you. Mm-hmm. And I said, like I said earlier, we don't have to stress and run and all of that, but just go out. And the elation and the self-pride you have at that finish line is incredible. And you've done it as a family, and that's so special.
Yeah, and as I was saying, you inspired me. And as I was thinking about, my parents are both in their mid-60s and both reasonably fit. And they've watched me race for so long. And I'm like, no, you guys are coming out with me next year. Like, we're going to do this together. And I think that that's such a powerful message, because we focus so much now on parents getting their young kids out and the Spartan Kids movement, which is phenomenal and great. But we don't look at the grown children. And the fact that 50, 60, 70, 80, that you can go out there and still do all of these things, and that there are no limitations, you know? And so what do you think is the best way to do that? And then, so what can our listeners, you know, take from this? Let's say they have a parent that they want to inspire, that they want to bring out. Like, what do you think is the best way to get them involved?
You had mentioned your parents go and watch you. Mm-hmm. And I think you can go through an obstacle and say to them, or anyone, look, you saw that obstacle? You can do that. You can crawl under that, you know, that wall. And say it means a lot to do it as a family, but just to inspire, just to get fit, the pride and the emotions. And you said you cry, I cry every time on the finish line. But you don't have to place first. It's inside that where it comes from. And I hope that everybody hearing my story will well, listen to it and go and try. You may not get everyone you want, but if you can get one or two people, and particularly one as a parent, fantastic.
Yeah, because I think that it's something that I've found that there's such a bond that's created through those shared moments of pain, shared moments of suffering. And that is so key. And something that we're missing so much in life is that those experiences together. And so I think that that's so powerful. And I love that you have really come, to stand for that. And it's so great. And a lot of people, I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm like, I got a bad hip, and so I'm sure that if we're trying to inspire more people, and especially older people, to come out and do this, and they're like, I can't, my back, or I have arthritis in my hands. Like, what do you tell them?
What I basically tell them is that I have some handicaps or disabilities. Oh, I could never do the Herc hoist. Yes, you can. I said, you can do it as a team. You can stand on the rope. But I tell them, if your shoulder hurts, then do something else. If you can't do barbells, which I can't, I have an artificial neck, then I work on the fly, or I do the leg press or things like that. And I tell them, it's okay. You're not competing. You're not going to succeed at every obstacle. I will never be able to do the rings or the twister. But you can adapt, and you can still do the rest of it. I'm afraid of heights. So was I. But if you have somebody below you on each side of you, you know what? You'll get over that. And they kind of psych themselves out. So you have to identify where they're psyching. And then you go in, not to be selfish and tell your own aches and pains. You need to show them that it can be done. And when we get 70 or 60, our bodies are not like yours, Amelia, at 30s and 40s. And it's a different set of muscles and using them.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is you find a way to do it. And I think there's always going to be an excuse, that if you want to find an excuse to get out of something, you're going to find an excuse. The point is that you can overcome those, and those excuses are invalid. Exactly. And that if there is a way to do it, and that the accomplishment and the feeling at the end overrides all of that.
And we did it. And my message is, don't use excuses.
Yeah.
You can go out there.
Exactly, and we love that. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Really appreciate it. And again, we are here at the Spartan Race World Championships. I'm here with Marla Sweeney, who just finished the World Championship yesterday, and I love it, absolutely love it. So thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Marla Sweeney, no excuses. Yeah. You know what I loved about that? She's not going to win anything. She's just going to get it done. And this whole mantra we've been building over the last 17 years with putting on races around the world is like, we think we're tough. We think we're able to talk about grit and resilience, and we're the experts. But just 70, 80 years ago, this was like normal life. Like a 70-year-old grandma would jump in the horse and carriage with us. You and I would load it up, get the horses ready.
I remember it well.
Mike.
Mike. We might have saddles, we might not.
Yeah.
And we're heading west,
yeah,
right, or east, depending on.
And it was nothing for a senior to be working in the field, man, woman, right?
Right.
With a baby on the back.
Just in Pittsfield, Vermont,
Seriously.
there was an 85-year-old woman one day I went over to help her. She lifted a cinder block out one hand, put it in the back of her pickup truck, said, boy, I don't need help. And she drove away. And so, we think it's so badass, but actually we're learning helplessness as time goes on. We're getting softer. But this was just the normal way to live.
It's funny. It was normal for some people. It was normal for a lot more people back then. It's still normal for the odd person right now, but that's what makes them so inspiring. Like when she finishes a race, and I've been in a lot of races, a lot of Spartan races in particular, and the winner comes across the line, it's awesome. You clap for a minute, and that's it, because they won. That's great. When Amelia wins a race, it's awesome. But when that grandmother crosses the line, or when an adaptive athlete crosses the line, or when somebody who's clearly just lost 100 pounds crosses the line, that is even more resonant with people, because that's a person who had an excuse not to do it. It's funny, I'm not going to take anything from Amelia's achievement. She's obviously incredible, but you could say that she's made for this, right? Whereas a 70-year-old is not who you expect to come out.
She looks pretty good.
Oh, of course. But when she crosses the finish line at 70, people are really, really moved, right? And so I would say that the more you think that maybe you would have an excuse not to do it, that's all the more reason to do it, because it's gonna elevate you, it's gonna make you better, and it's gonna make everyone around you better too.
Sure, I like that she sets goals, and the goals aren't epic goals like I'm going to win. I'm going to beat 200 people. That's her goal.
Sure, yeah.
I'm going to beat 200 people in this race. Mm-hmm. I'm going to she counts her steps out if she's beginning to feel it up on the mountains. And I'm going to do one, she has a mathematical way of doing it, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Something like that, and she'll do blocks, and she breaks it down.
That resonated with Amelia too, who she says when and I know Amelia when she's racing, she's very analytical, and she'll get in her head, and she says same thing, just break down I need to get to that post, I need to get to the top of that hill. That's my job.
Yeah, and then hearing about her injuries, the car accident she had, that she has a titanium neck.
Yeah.
The osteoarthritis in her hands. I'm beginning to get it in my knees.
Well, at 112, we would expect that.
The cave I lived in keeps you a little bit preserved because it's so cold. You were there last night.
Anybody out there that's listening, that's debating whether or not they could handle a cold shower, or they could handle a run or a marathon or a Spartan race or whatever, use this as inspiration. Yeah, she's 70 plus years old. She's out there. She's crushing it. And we're humans, which means we're animals. Yep. Animals were meant to be active. So get outside. You're not going to drown in the rain. True. Right? Go get it done.
It's funny when you're walking out of a store and you see everyone huddled there and their cars are 50 feet away and they're waiting for the rain stops. You made of sugar? Come on, let's go. Get to your car. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to give a quick shout out to her example of integrity. Yep. And because with the neck, she said two things. She can't do the swims, and so she takes the burpees, but she can't do the burpees because she can't do that fluid motion. So she'll do 10 jumping jacks for that part of the burpee, 10 push-ups, and then repeat 3 times for 30. That's pretty incredible. Instead of saying, hey, sorry, I've got this titanium neck, I can't do it. Or I'm 70, I can't do it. She says, I'm here to get it done. Same thing, I'm not going to win. I'm here to get it done to do the best I can do. Well, that's something, Joe, that I knew would resonate with you. You look at all these people coming out here. They're not all coming here to win the race. So the person who says, I'm not an elite athlete, why would I go to a Spartan race? Why would they do a Spartan race?
I think we all want to find out what we're capable of as human beings. And I don't think we feel really great about ourselves just sitting on a couch, using that analogy, and watching TV and eating some popcorn, right? We're not maximizing our possibilities. We're not seeing what we're capable of. At the end of the day, we're only on the planet for a short time. Mm-hmm. So I think... Hang on. I think Sever was going to break out into a song. I think when these athletes come out, because like you said, 99% of the pack is not out here to win it. They just want to see how far they can push themselves. I think you feel really good when you get to be a Navy SEAL for the day, or 007 for the day, or whatever it is you were looking up to as a kid for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something to be said for, I'm going to do the best I can do. I'm going to adapt to whatever situation I'm dealing with. Right. I'm going to go out and set my own goals and go after them. And every person who comes out here and achieves a goal, like for example, going straight from the couch to Spartan Race at 70, that was a goal accomplished.
She got it done.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Well, what I was going to so rudely interruptingly say is, one, not all popcorn's bad for you, Joe. If you're like, all right, heritage popcorn with nutritional yeast and coconut oil
consumed
and,
on a heritage couch watching a black and white movie.
Not all popcorn. Not all popcorn might be bad for you, but all couches are bad for you.
What about if it's in an infrared sauna? No, but can I say...
if it's stone and an infrared
sauna... That you chiseled yourself, you can sit on
the neck.
And if you have furs on it that somebody hunted for you, I'm sorry, people who don't hunt, blessings. But, okay, so let's get back to reality. And the thing is, she talked about how do I say it?
Behavioral.
Okay, it's again the brain plasticity, right? We try to think the limitations, but like we don't even know the beginnings of our brain. And she's not sitting there like, I'm in pain. She's not focusing on that. She's
Here's
like,
a big one. Here's a big one.
But it's the same thing with the Iceland Mike
over
over
here.
Joe.
Listen,
I got something to say.
You just blew out someone's speakers in their car. Hang on.
Sorry, my mom always says I'm screaming.
You just triggered something.
And my wife's ears, who is our production assistant. Sorry there, honey.
Oh my God, forgive my volume. I meant to be outside.
No, we're talking about Johnny. Hang on. I recently was with the CEO of a major Fortune 500, and he was explaining to me the largest brain study ever done is actually taking place right now in Switzerland. And he explained, bear with me here because I didn't record this, so I'm going to go off memory. The first 25 years of all of our lives, we expand our brain physically, but we also expand all the connections. And so, for example, we walk into a room and our brain maps the room out. It looks at everything. It takes in all that information and starts to create a blueprint in our head. As we get older, past 25 years old, we've already mapped out rooms, so it recognizes a room, and it doesn't really get into the details as much.
Recognizes patterns.
Yeah, recognizes patterns. And so you lose about a third of that processing capability. From 50 years old to 75, you lose another third. What they did was they took 75-year-old and olders, and
Old
they
and
said,
olders.
and old and olders, and they said, can we get them back to where we were from 0 to 25? They not only got them back, but they got them above where they were from 0 to 25. And the
Medicinal
trick
mushrooms.
was not medicinal mushrooms. It was you had to get out of your comfort zone every
100%.
single day.
You have to experience new things.
New things.
And we get into these
Neural
routines.
pathways.
We drive to work the same way. We do it with
Right.
the same kind of people. And your brain gets
Smaller and smaller. And
all you have
but
to do,
actually,
you're
when they
right.
look at the neural connections, what they see, let's say you play baseball and you're a pitcher, and you do that every single day. And a lot of us would respect that because we say, man, that guy is committed or that woman is committed every single day throwing pitches. Well, those two connections get made, an extreme example, but all the other ones suffer because the other connections go away.
So an interesting thing with that, because we've talked lots on different episodes about, just trying to remember the guy's name who talked about do one thing well.
Naval
Naval Ravikant.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, and there's something to be said for that. Do one thing well. But I like the idea of different seasons. You know, if you want to be
So do I.
really successful, do one thing really well. And you're probably going to be a hugely successful 20-something. But then if you only do that thing, and I think of pro athletes, like a hockey player, if all they do the rest of their life is keep playing hockey, you're going to get worse and worse at it from 30, 40, 50, 60.
Sure.
And you spend the rest of your life getting worse. And like you say, everything else shuts down. But why not be that person who does something really, really well, but then instead of resting on your laurels,
Mix
do
it up.
something else.
Mix it up.
Study piano at 60.
Right.
That's something you've never done before. It's going to start firing those neurons
I want to
again.
pick up on the thing that Joe was speaking about, the age after 75 and this test they've done. Something that Marla said was that she got into it because her son was really into it. He had, as she put it, drank the Kool-Aid of obstacle racing. She knew that he was something that he really loved, and she went with him one time. I could do that. I could do that. I think if she encouraged people or inspires people to take their parents with them next time, get older people out on the courses.
Take your kids, take everyone,
yeah, make it more of a family thing anyway. That will help a lot. Like my father's about to go into early Alzheimer's. This is the kind of thing that would help him probably because he's
You got to get out of the comfort zone. You
Yeah.
got to take a cold shower. You gotta
played
do
golf his
burpees.
whole
You
life.
gotta
Now
go-
he's not playing
Whatever
golf.
thing that you don't do, go do it. Learn a new language.
I have a really good analogy for that.
You tell us the analogy, we'll tell you if it's good.
I think the universe will judge if it's good or not, Johnny. I'm just
ahead.
joking. No. In like Native American traditions, you have the scouts, right? And a key principle of the scout, as it was taught to me and mentored to me, was a scout never takes the same path twice, right? Because when you take the same path twice, you can be tracked, and that's just not something you do. So if you think about it in terms of neural pathways, right? Don't take the same path. Even if you're doing the same activity, do it a little bit differently. I mean, I know it doesn't work for like your golf swing or whatever your profession is, but I think it's really important to think about that. Like our brains, we so underutilize. Like take the different paths that has the moss and the lichen over here that you haven't gone through in that part of your brain. And it's like be the scouts of your own neurology. Trademark, hashtag, pootie rah rah.
Bottom line is get off the couch. Doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are. Don't do the same thing over and over and over, right? Yep. Mix it up a bit. Check out Spartan Up podcast. How do you get there?
Spartan.com/podcast. Check it out on YouTube. Check it out on iTunes. Subscribe in either case because that will get pushed right to you. You won't miss any of our great episodes. Get off the couch. Watch it standing up.
And
Watch it standing up. We're on your head.
Thank you for watching another epic story of success. If you like our message, please share Spartan Up with your friends and subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you catch our show, maybe in the woods. Spartan Up is brought to you by Spartan Race. To find a race near you, visit Spartan.com.